Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, What Does It Take to Build a Future Ready School? We are honored to have with us Mr. Anubhav Arora, Executive Chairman of the Confederation for Quality in Early Childhood Care and Education. A passionate advocate for raising standards in early childhood care and education, his work has been pivotal in shaping policies and practices that impact schools across India. I would like to invite Mr. Anubhav Arora to set the stage for today's conversation.
Thank you, Ankita. Good morning, everyone. It gives me a great honor to welcome you all to this very special webinar. What does it take to build future ready school? I'm truly delighted to see such an enthusiastic gathering of educators, school leaders, and change makers from across the country. Your presence here today shows one very important thing, that you care deeply about the future of education and about building schools that can truly prepare our children for tomorrow's world. We are all aware that the education landscape is changing faster than ever before. Technology, globalization, new learning methods, and even the ambitions of parents and children, everything around us is changing, it's shifting. The question before us, all of us, the school leaders, is simple but very powerful. Are our schools ready for the future, or we are still preparing children for a world that no longer exists? We have seen in history how even the strongest organizations like Kodak, Nokia lost their way because they failed to adopt to change. Schools are no different. If we hold on only to the old ways and ignore the changes happening around us, we risk becoming irrelevant to the very learners we want to serve. And this is exactly why today's session is so important. At Confederation for Quality in Early Childhood Care and Education and Association of Indian Principals, our vision is to enhance quality in early years and beyond, and to support schools in reimagining learning for the future. We believe that every child in India deserves an education that is not only safe and nurturing, but also forward looking, relevant, and empowering. Education is not just about marks or exams anymore. It is about helping children build skills, values, and confidence to thrive in an uncertain, fast changing world. To achieve this, schools need to be future ready. And what does future ready really means? It does not mean adding technology in classroom or using digital tools. It does not only mean adding this particular technology and all that. It means rethinking the very purpose of education. It means focusing on creativity, critical thinking, and emotional intelligence. It means giving our children a voice and allowing them to learn by exploring and doing. But we also know that being a school leader today is not easy. The responsibilities are high, expectations are high, and the challenges are many. That's why we need inspiration, new ideas, practical guidance from those who have walked this path before. And we are truly honored to have with us today a leader and a visionary who has inspired thousands of educators across India and touched the life of countless learners. Leena ji. Leena ji is not only an educator, but also a change maker. Through her pioneering work, she has challenged traditional models of education and encouraged us to look at schools as places of joy, purpose, and discovery. Her deep insights into how children learn, how schools can evolve, and how leaders can create lasting impact are exactly what we need to hear today. I have no doubt that her words will spark fresh ideas and help us reflect on our own journey as leaders. But more importantly, I believe her thoughts will encourage us to take action, to go back to our schools and make meaningful changes that will shape the future of our students. So, as we begin with the today's session, I encourage each one of you to listen with an open heart and open mind. Take notes, ask questions, and think about how the ideas you hear today can be applied in your own schools. Remember, even one small step taken today can create a ripple effect that transform the lives of hundreds of thousands of children for tomorrow. Before I invite Leena ji to take over, let me leave you with this thought: the future will not wait for us. It is being built every day by the choices we make as educators and leaders. So let us not just prepare children for future, let us work together to create schools that actively shape the future. With that, it is my privilege to welcome Leena ji to guide us through this very important conversation. Thank you. Jai Hind. We can't listen you, Leena ji.
They can't hear me. Okay,
Yes,
let
you're
me start
audible
again.
now.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. And this is the first time I'm doing an online and an offline session at the same time. So forgive me for any mistakes or any glitches that occur. But we all are adapting and adopting to the new ways of doing things. Now, a question. Imagine this. You are shipwrecked on a remote island. You need to signal for rescue. What would you hope is packed in your survival kit? 2 stones to rub and make a fire, a matchbox, or a flare gun. Today, education is shipwrecked. Lost at sea, we are in a storm of outdated systems and irrelevant testing and metrics. What are we insisting that children still pack in their school bags? Because this is essentially their survival kit, and it's their life survival kit. We're putting in a textbook, a geometry box, and a periodic table. This is equivalent to 2 stones when they need a flare gun today. We're preparing children for a world that does not exist anymore. It's not even in the future, it's already here. What they will need to survive are not grades or scores, but emotional intelligence. But we do not spend time on developing these mostly in schools. This emotional intelligence, we don't test for it, we don't assess for it, we don't measure for it. Adaptability, creativity, self-mastery, everything the future now demands. Emotional purpose, finding meaning, higher intelligence, self-regulation, resilience, inner mastery. And let me tell you, this is not new. This is not something that I have invented. It's ancient, is Indian and ancient indigenous wisdom. The Vedas spoke of sankalp, which is intention. Yoga taught us about our senses and the importance of awareness of our body. Our stories taught us dharma, doing the right thing even when it's hard. Meditation, reflection, value-based living These were not trends. These were the foundation of education once. And the world, through all its AI and brittleness and uncertainty, is finally catching up to what India always knew. The greatest gift we can give humanity is self-regulated humans. In a world of technology, we need a well-wired human. That's what we need. So the future isn't coming, it's already here. And parents have finally stopped asking, which school gets the best marks? Today they're asking, which school prepares my child for this world? This question has pivoted, and especially pertinent in this year. I don't know if you know it, but 38% of IIT graduates, the most coveted tertiary degree in India, 38% of IIT graduates did not get jobs. A whole lot of IIM graduates are not getting placements. This statistic of 38% is not a statistic, it is a wake-up call for us all. I once said many years ago, if anyone's ever watched me at a conference, I said test prep will die. When I sold Kangaroo Kids and Billabong High, and I'll let you know why I sold it, because that was for another world, and what we're preparing at Dreamtime Learning is for the new world. When I said test prep will die, people laughed at me. When I sold Kangaroo Kids and Billabong High, I was offered seats and equity in test prep learning centers for my expertise. And I said, no, firstly, I've never believed in test prep. I've never believed in tutorials. And I said, test prep will die. Watch in the next 1 year or 2 years. In fact, yesterday, I was speaking to somebody who wanted to become a Dreamtime Learning partner. He has a tutorial and test prep center in Sholapur, and he said it's emptied out. And therefore, he has to look to do something else. When Google came out, if you've heard me at conferences, I constantly said, let's go towards open book exams. If we go towards open book exams in an age of Google, that means we will be assessing for the right things. CBSE has finally announced that open book exams are a thing. If we are preparing kids for a world of work, they're going to use Google. If we're preparing kids for a world of work, they have to know how to use AI. So should we resist these things in schools, or should we embrace them and use them to teach at a higher level? We all know that in this age of AI, companies all around the world are redefining how they are doing things. Day before yesterday, TCS laid off 12,000 of its workers. Tata Consultancy Service laid off 12,000 of its workers. That's not a small number. Microsoft is laying off people. All around the world, workers are getting laid off. Once upon a time, when coding became a thing, everyone ran, all parents ran towards teaching their kids coding. No longer is a thing. The actual thing is we don't know what's coming. If we think of education as knowledge, skills, and attitude, knowledge, ever changing, the amount of knowledge that's being produced, ever exponential. Skills, we can't rely on a skill-based education anymore. Coding as a skill, redundant. What skills are we preparing kids for, and will they still be relevant? We don't know. So what is the only thing we can focus on? We can focus on teaching kids the right attitudes, the right mindsets, the right aptitude. And that's what we want to do. Think about this, over 50% of the Fortune 500 companies from the year 2000 no longer exist. They were acquired, went bankrupt, and became irrelevant. Why? Because they could not and did not adapt. Kodak didn't die because people stopped taking photos. Blockbuster didn't fail because people stopped watching movies. They died because they failed to change. Education today is at the same crossroads as once where Kodak and BlackBerry were. And we have a choice now to think about what we will do. Let me pause and say something critical. This isn't a maybe. It's not a theory. It's already happening. Experts predict that schools as they exist today, 1 in 3 of them will no longer exist. That's in their current form. If you adapt and you adopt, you have a chance to continue. And this is not because parents have stopped caring. It's not because teachers have stopped trying. It's because the world has moved forward. And if schools don't, then they must no longer exist. The future isn't coming. It's already here. The real question is, can we evolve fast enough to meet it? Just have a look at your screen. The top 10 jobs in demand today didn't exist 15 years ago. If you were in school 15 years ago, what you learned there is no longer relevant. AI is replacing task-based roles, soft skills, creativity, and complex problem solving are now king. We know that AI can even do diagnosis and perform surgeries better than doctors. 50% of global employees will need reskilling by 2027. So any skill that we learn today is not important. It's the process of how we learn and that we know how to keep on learning. Today's students have access to more information than ever, but are they actually learning how to learn, to think, to lead, and to create? So what are the 5 non-negotiables of a school that will thrive in 2040? And this is you as a school, not only what you're teaching, but also, is this embedded in you in terms of your values and what you do? Do you as a school teach self-awareness? Do you have self-awareness? Do you as a school teach resilience, and are you resilient? Are you as a school thinking about collaboration instead of competition and encouraging that in children? Are you as a school teaching children that purpose and meaning are more important than anything else? And do you as a school, have you found your purpose and meaning? Are you as a school empathetic? And do you teach empathy in what you do daily with the students and teachers? Because the fact is this, that a child who knows how to manage failure, to navigate conflict, and to lead with empathy will thrive no matter what career that they pursue. And we all know that we've all adapted very fast. You know, Swiggy, Zomato, Uber, we've all adapted very quickly. Quills to styluses, typewriters to AI co-pilots, but education is stuck. We're still debating whether we should allow AI in the classrooms. Are children going to use AI in the workforce? Yes. Should that not be the question? Are schools not preparing children for not just the workplace, but for life? And if so, are we not doing them a disservice by not thinking about how we bring in the teaching of AI in the classrooms? Are we going to continue to prioritize memory over mastery and information over transformation? The world doesn't need more test cracking robots. It needs emotional intelligence, adaptability, creativity, and self-mastery. Timeless capacities that ancient traditions, whether it was the Indians or the indigenous tribes, always already emphasized. So Microsoft laid off 15,000 workers. TCS just laid off 12,000 workers. And we're going to see an increasing trend of this. Because if education stays stuck, the world will move on. And skills do become redundant today. Once upon a time, we could go to school, learn a skill, and know we could use it for the rest of our lives. That's no longer the case. Entire teams of skilled coders were laid off, not because they lacked talent, but because their skills were no longer enough in an AI-driven world. Even if you're a coder, you're going to have to keep up with the world of AI and be one of the best coders to retain your job. So that comes from mindset. comes from self-belief. It comes from knowing about human potential, that I have immense and endless potential. A fixed mindset keeps us locked in past success and makes even the most professionals redundant. Why did I sell Kangaroo Kids and Billabong High? It was no longer relevant for a world in which I knew technology is going to be exponential. While I didn't know about ChatGPT then, I knew that technology will be exponential, and the things that technology will be able to do and the things it will demand of children will be altogether different. And therefore, out with the old and in with the new. Because too many people ask me, you had something successful. Why not hold on to it? It's no longer enough. If something is redundant, let it go, whether it's in your school systems, in your curriculum, and embrace what is relevant and relatable to children of today, because they are born as digital natives. A growth mindset, which I had to have to let go of the past. It empowers me and my learners to evolve, adapt, and stay ahead, no matter how fast the world changes. The same mindset that Kodak, Nokia, and Blockbuster lacked is what learners need to survive in the future. We've never embraced and encouraged failure. To be innovative and inventive, failure must be embraced. We've got to teach kids to fail fast, to learn faster, and to keep iterating the process. When I started Dreamtime Learning, we started with only 20 children. We went through a lot of failures. We went through a lot of bumps, went through a lot of bruises, but that's important. And not only is it important in the world of work, it's important in the world of schools that teach children learn to embrace failure as a part of the process. Innovation doesn't come from purely intelligence. It actually comes from mindset. And mindset is something that can be taught. So how can we develop this mindset? Is it possible? It is possible, and learning must move beyond the textbook. At Dreamtime Learning, in the curriculum methodology, the Intel Pentium that you can use in any school, kids solve real world problems. They're engaged in project-based learning, in design thinking. They launched their initiatives. They understand branding, positioning, how to tell stories. They understand all of that. They engage with the world outside the classroom. Today, the children are at the zoo on a picnic, socializing. Our online school, our online children. And they build their own portfolios of learning. Let's move away from assessments to portfolios of learning. Let children put in their best piece of work in design thinking and their worst piece of work in design thinking. Why? Because it's the worst one that got to the best one. And then they can show you the process of thinking that it took them to go from here to here. What were the thoughts that they had? What are the types of thinking that they needed? And how did they shift what type of thinking that they needed at different times? We think of intelligence as IQ. Even IQ, thinking about thinking, you have to say, okay, what sort of thought do I need to bring to solving this problem? Is it creativity? Is it agility? Is it evaluation? Is it analysis? What sort of thinking do I need to bring it to this situation? Because we think of thinking as just thinking, but it's not. It has so many different avatars. The schools thriving in 2040 will not fear technology. So let's not have a conversation about should AI be allowed in the classrooms or not. Let's think about if AI is in the classrooms, how do we use it? Can we have 2 kids using ChatGPT to set test papers for each other around a concept that they've learned? Each one's going to try and have the more challenging test paper, And in doing so, they start thinking in terms of higher order thinking, higher thinking prompts to put into their prompting to get the kind of test paper. And don't forget, in order for them to do that, they do have to have mastered the content in any case. So why test the content? Let's test the way that they use their content to create new things. So schools that are thriving in 2024 are building their learning ecosystem around technology. AI, AR, VR, real-time feedback. We all know that if kids do an assessment paper or a worksheet, and the teachers have 40 kids in their class, and they return that assessment paper or worksheet with red ink or blue ink, right or wrong, a week later, the brain has already embedded the incorrect information. So what are we teaching for? Are we teaching to test what kids don't know? Are we teaching them to actually learn, which means they get immediate feedback, so the brain immediately corrects. And the brain needs to immediately correct to embed the new information that is actually relevant for them. So this immediate feedback has to be part of our teaching and learning, and immersive platforms must be part of the learning process. Yeah, imagine having 3D models you can play with. How alive does it come? Do you really need to go and dissect someone's heart, a goat's heart? Can you not do it on screen? And therefore, you're being more empathetic, but you're still understanding all about the heart. So this is something that I truly believe in. Yes, the factory model that we all adopted from the British Raj may have worked in 1920. It was still not kind. It was still not nice to kids. It still did not realize that kids are 5 years old, that their entire world should be about being 5, not getting ready to be 25. Our kids are not products, they're possibilities, they're potential. And curriculums must adapt to believing in this, in interest, pace, and passion. So you got a QR code there? Yeah. Let's see which of these still exist in your school. Let's run a quick poll. Is your school still using static textbooks and not dynamic content? Is your school still teaching subjects in silos, not as interdisciplinary areas of problems to be solved? Is your school still using exams as endpoints, not as learning tools? Is your school still using teachers as content deliverers, not coaches or facilitators? Is your school's curriculum still designed for compliance and not curiosity? 30 seconds. Do we see poll results? So if your school has checked 3 or more of these, you are not just behind, you are absolutely at risk. Only those who reinvent will remain relevant. The rest will become cautionary tales. And we don't want schools to be the next Blockbuster or Nokia or BlackBerry or any of the companies that showed us if you don't adapt, you fail. At Dreamtime Learning, we've reimagined the foundation, the very foundation of learning, not around textbooks or exams, but around how the brain learns, how emotions drive engagement. So we have a hook at the beginning of every lesson where the brain is suddenly in a state of shock, awe, curiosity, any deep emotion that grabs it. The first 15 seconds of a lesson are only that. The emotions drive engagement. We know that. Everyone knows, if they're old enough, where they were when Indira Gandhi was assassinated. Everyone knows where they were when Princess Diana died. Everyone remembers their first kiss. Everyone remembers their first heartbreak. Anything that's deeply emotionally engaging, you remember. But that's how learning happens as well. And why are we not using the neuroscience of that in the classroom? First 15 seconds, hook the brain, curious, awe, shock, whatever it is. Let this emotion then drive engagement. So this is the Dreamtime Edge. It's brain-based learning. It's all about emotional connections. It's gamified and collaborative learning. It's relatable, relevant, interdisciplinary. So let me give you an example. The whole trade war thing is going on right now. Trump declares new tariffs. China suddenly says, you know, all those MOUs we signed, where we will not declare that Gucci, Prada, Hermes is being made in China, we no longer abide by those MOUs. And we're going to flood the market with everything we've made in China, where it goes to Italy just to have the tag put on. Do we bring that in the curriculum? Yes. What does it teach kids? It teaches kids that most people need an external validator to validate themselves. Whereas we're teaching kids, validate yourself. If you want to buy a Gucci product, go ahead and buy it. But don't buy it because it validates your position in society. Yeah? Are you still going to buy the Gucci, Prada, Hermes without the tag? That's the question we ask the older kids at Dreamtime Learning. And we keep on making the curriculum relevant and relatable and adding these things in because that's what matters to kids. Is the world outside, where it is immediately relevant and relatable to me? Is that what is being taught to me in the classroom? How does it matter to me what history did or what the process of history 50 years ago, 100 years ago, unless it's relevant and relatable to me today? So yes, we can talk about power plays between countries in history, but then we bring it to relevance and relatable to what's happening in their world today. So what are the 4 pillars of Dreamtime Learning? So we actually have 3 pillars of Dreamtime Learning. The hook is part of absorb, because if a child's brain is hooked, it's going to learn. It's going to absorb what it is you're trying to teach them. So if you start with 2 faces that are almost exactly the same, and you say which face is more attractive, and they say this one, and you show them why, because it's more symmetrical, slightly more symmetrical. Your eyes may not see it, but your subconscious does. And then we show them from an evolutionary and survival point of view why the brain likes symmetry. And then suddenly they're hooked into learning about symmetry. Instead of showing them something and just cutting it down the middle, you can do all that, but you have to hook them first. The hook sparks curiosity, not compliance. I'm not saying, children, open your book to page 45 and you read passage a second, and now you read passage third, and then I'm going to ask you questions on it. That's compliance. Let's start with curiosity, because if your lesson doesn't capture a child's attention, the child's brain's attention, you've already lost the lesson. A brain-based design triggers intrigue, emotion, and personal relevance right from the very start. We help learners deeply understand. We have emotional connections throughout the sessions, reflection check-ins, and real-world relevance that activate the hippocampus, turning information into retention. We have a short-term memory system and a long-term memory system. We have millions of pieces of information coming into us at any given time. The brain, from an evolutionary perspective, what does it want to do? It wants me to focus on my periphery, the information in my environment that helps me stay alive. And therefore, the minute you show through the hook that this is going to help your brain in some way, children are hooked. And then that information goes from a short-term memory system into a long-term memory system. We don't want a Dreamtime understanding to be at surface level. We want it to be cellular in every cell. We have memories in our cells. We want the learning to be deeply embedded in every cell of our body. And no one learns in isolation. Our lesson plans are gamified, they're collaborative, and they're designed to beat the dopamine loop of a smartphone. We all complain about kids going to games on a smartphone without understanding the brain hooks behind it. And can we teach them firstly about the dangers of bad dopamine release, which is excessive, it's too fast, and your brain then, when it needs to self-regulate, goes into anxiety? Do we teach that kids, here, this is your brain, this is your body. Your brain and body are designed to maintain homeostasis. They're designed to be grounded from a safety and survival point of view. Hey kids, you know when you release dopamine like from a game, it goes like this, it's quick, it's fast. It keeps going, and you can keep accessing it, right? So it keeps going further and further and further. Do you know what happens when your brain needs to find homeostasis? Does it do that? Oh, wow, I'm back again. No, it goes from here to here. And that's why when we overdo something like a Netflix binge or a gaming binge, we suddenly feel anxious. That anxiety we must feel before we bring our bodies into homeostasis. But what happens each time we feel that anxiety? Each time we feel that anxiety, that becomes a set point for us, a set point for our brain. And that is why we've got so many anxious, depressed people running around the world today. But there's good ways of releasing dopamine that don't happen so fast. When you meet a goal, when you tick something off your checklist, when you engage through role play, through challenge cycles, and you meet the next challenge, those are good ways of releasing dopamine. Your brain then wants to do more of that, set new goals, lift myself higher, be the best version of myself. And why do we end with create? Because if learners cannot synthesize and create new value from the information that they've just learned, they haven't truly learned. From persuasive writing, to podcasts, to model making, to creating films, to creating surveys, every Dreamtime journey culminates in authentic leader-led creation. So the Dreamtime Edge is not a feature list. It's a transformation map for any school. Just going to hear from one of our, so Ruchika, who's coming on. Ruchika first started as a parent of Kangaroo Kids, of Jimbaroo, and then Kangaroo Kids. And then she went on to taking Kangaroo Kids and Jimbaroo to Delhi. And then when I exited, she exited, and she was really, really pained about that. She said, Leena, what did you do? And I said, when I start something new, I promise you, I'll let you know, and you'll be allowed to invest.
So my journey with Leena began in 1998 when I stepped into Jimbaroo as a mother in a toddler program. That one experience. So my journey with Leena began in 1998 when I stepped into Jimbaroo as a mother in a toddler program. That one experience sparked something bigger, and soon we knew that we were signing an agreement for our first Kangaroo Kids franchise outside Mumbai. So from becoming a parent, I came out as a believer. Let's not forget that education space in those days was very basic and that operated on minimal infrastructure and no or zero resources with little thought to child-centric curriculum. From being a preschool partner to becoming an investor, the journey has been deeply personal and deeply transformational. I often get asked that why did we invest in Dreamtime Learning? And it's because we've lived the value of the vision and because we know what it means when education is reimagined, not just with theory, but with innovation and impact. Dreamtime Learning is not just another startup, it's a movement that I believe, which says that we will continuously keep evolving till we are ready for tomorrow's learners. So from to become a powered by school was just a natural step for us, because it ensured that we got the latest technology and the digital pedagogy, well thought out researched curriculum into even the remotest part of India. In a school like mine, which is in a rural setting, it was important that our children got this exposure so that they are ready for tomorrow's world, and they are not left behind in this journey. So from a parent to a partner to an investor, this journey has been with a lot of shared values, with passion, and I look forward to many more milestones together. When you believe in something so deeply, you just don't support it, you help build it.
We want to build a movement. What is that movement she's speaking about? I'm going to tell you about the woes of the world, and that if we as educators who actually have effect and we can have impact, if we do not embrace this movement, it means that anxiety, depression, the planet is going to continuously suffer. We all know that we need change. What you get with Dreamtime Learning is a 360-degree solution to change. It's embedded with project-based learning, with Genius Hour, with design thinking. The beauty of our lesson plans is I went to what pained the teacher, what pained the school owners when I was doing Kangaroo Kids in Billabong High, and how do I solve for that today? So we have lesson plans in one document for both learners and teachers, and the lesson plans are scripted in direct speech. So as the teacher is using the hooks and everything else, she's thinking about not what am I saying? She's not thinking about prompts. She's thinking about how do I emotionally resonate and how do I keep emotionally connecting with my kids. So in the last 10 years, over 4,000 schools in the US alone have shut down, not because of poor academics, but because they could not adapt. They didn't change fast enough. They said, let's wait. Homeschooling in America is going up by 2% every year. Because if you say, let's wait, you have to remember that while you say, let's wait, AI is writing code, editing, and diagnosing very, very fast. So let's not get into the debate around tech and integration, because 13-year-olds are building apps, they're launching products, they're launching podcasts, and they're self-publishing books at Dreamtime Learning, because the future isn't waiting. Let's do a real quick think break. Let me ask you a question. If your school didn't exist, would any of you design it the way it is today, from scratch for today's world? If your answer is yes, please continue. If your answer is no, please see us at Dreamtime Learning. So a little bit of history now. If Earth were 46 years old, if we scale it down to 46 years, humans arrived on this planet 4 hours ago. The Industrial Revolution began 1 minute ago. I'm going to repeat that. If Earth were just 46 years old, so we took the billions of years and we scaled it to 46. Humans arrived just 4 hours ago. 46, 4 hours. And the Industrial Revolution began just 1 minute ago. In that 1 minute, we've destroyed over half the world's forests, polluted our land and water. Why? Because we've been taught, conditioned to compete and consume and to chase, not to reflect, care, or connect. Unless we place self-mastery at the heart of how our children learn, we risk handing them a broken planet. We're already handing them a broken planet and a broken way of being. If you think about anyone who's wreaked havoc on the world, Hitler, Osama bin Laden. If you go, serial killers, if you go into their childhood, what you will see, they have come from a place of wounds and voids. And they have now expressed those wounds and voids in their adult world as harm to themselves and to others. We all know who the bully in the playground is. The bully in the playground is a child who has no control at home, who brings that now to school to find that equilibrium, bullies at school, where he feels loss of control, he will exert control. But imagine if we can prepare our children with the tools and strategies, not just to learn, but to heal, that when something happens to them, they know how to heal it, and that they know how to thrive in a world that needs more conscious humans. We need to raise a generation of children that don't survive the future, but they actually transform the future. We're living through a massive shift. Technology is changing everything, jobs, life, even what success looks like. Our children won't thrive anymore by following rules and memorizing. They need to adapt, think deeply, connect with others. These are essentials. And it's time to shift education to human-only skills. What makes us truly human? Creativity, sure, AI can create, but you still have to be creative about your prompts. Compassion and courage. For people who are scared of AI, you know, a knife can be used for good or for bad, depending on whose hands you put it in. Nuclear energy can be used for good or bad, depending on whose hands you put it in. AI can be used for good or bad, depending on whose hands you put it in. So don't we want to make sure we have kids with good hands, compassionate hands, caring hands, connected hands? They understand the interconnectivity of everything on this planet and behave in ways that make them think consciously, decide consciously, choose consciously, consume consciously, do everything consciously. So we want to raise children for a world of possibilities, not pressure. At Dreamtime Learning, everything, even our lesson plans, whether it's training, anything we do, we start with this model. This is Simon Sinek's model, it's not mine, but it always starts with why. The why, what, how framework is how we design learning. We begin with the purpose, why education needs to change, then we define what needs to change, and then we define how we will make that happen. This approach sparks curiosity in us. We call our instructional designers curiosity and excitement architects, because we say you've only got two jobs: arouse curiosity and spark excitement. And then learning is never ending, because learning is accessible and available for anyone who wants it, as long as I'm curious. We're not teaching children to learn, we're helping them lead with and to question and co-create a better future. So let's have a look at this. We have environmental urgency. In just the blink of an eye on Earth's long timeline, humanity has changed the planet beyond recognition. In the blink of an eye, we have changed the planet beyond recognition. And this is the first urgent need for a new movement in learning. We've burned more than half its forests. We've poisoned its air, land, and oceans. What's the use of having a Lamborghini if you can't breathe? This isn't just about academics. Divya is going to show you one of our lesson plans, and it just isn't about academics. It's about raising children who question, care, and lead with conscience. Not chasing marks and medals. That's the old way. Let's chase a movement. Our systems have taught us to win at all costs. And these are the same systems driving us towards extinction. I receive 50 offers of awards every day. News companies, and I'm talking about news companies that were very, very well respected, that once spoke the truth, that spoke the news, they've got disrupted. How have they coped with the disruption? By sending me 50 award invitations every day, but asking me to pay for them. What do we teach kids when we say that you can earn an award or a medal? What do we teach them? We can't undo the past, but we can educate differently. And we can educate and create a movement of children who choose purpose over power. Purpose over power. What's the second reason we need to change? Urgent need to change. By 2030, depression is expected to be the biggest global health crisis. Kids are not turning to social media and everything else because that's the world they want to be in. They're looking for connection. If they cannot get connection one way, they'll seek connection another way. But they're looking for connection. So imagine if depression is the biggest health crisis, not cancer, not heart disease, but depression. What does that tell us about where we've brought the world? There's something deeply broken about how we are raising our children, how we're educating our children. And today's learners are still in that pressure to perform, to compete, to win. Yet behind all these high scores and medals, many are struggling with anxiety, burnout, and a loss of self-worth. I've got my third book coming out now, a book I've co-written with Janine Matho. And she's somebody who's written a book, just publishing a book called Finding Your Opus. And why did I choose her to write this with? Because as an adult, she broke. She went into a high-powered, she went into a very high-powered corporate network, and she broke. And she had to break to rebuild, to understand we're trying to move too fast. You know, as my younger brother sees AI coming in, he's constantly trying to teach it to his kid, but in a way that's pressured. He's trying to teach him business in a way that's pressured. We still need to teach business and collaboration and risk-taking and all of these skills through games. And I'm telling him, play Monopoly. There are so many games where his need for human connection and these skills you want to teach him happen together. But at 10 years old, don't try and get him to be 30 because you're scared about where the world is moving. Teach him these skills as a 10-year-old in a way that he can relate to, that he finds relevant, that he can embrace. We believe mental and emotional well-being is as important, if not more important, than academic success. It's no use being a gold medalist. It's no use having a great business if all the other areas of your life are broken. So we teach children through the curriculum how to regulate emotions, how to manage stress, how to build self-mastery, and to find purpose and meaning. If you follow me on Instagram, it says I'm a happiness advocate. And that's actually true and not true, because happiness doesn't come from seeking happiness. Happiness comes from finding meaning and purpose. When you find meaning and purpose, happiness just follows. So don't we want to raise kids who feel powerful, purposeful, and peaceful? because we were never meant to be measured by marks. And it's time to change the narrative. The games our preschoolers play, the discussions that they have, the thinking we ask them to do is all infused with the strategies that teach them how to master their thinking. So for example, if a child says, I can't do this, or I just lost at cricket, I'm hopeless, we will have games and strategies that say, okay, you had that thought. Is that thought going to move you forward? Is that thought going to keep you stuck? And these are all the strategies you can use. And only one of them is reframing. These are all the tools and strategies you can use to master your thinking. Which one will you use today? Will you reframe? What strategy will you use to master your thinking? Because if you master your thinking, you master your emotional states. If you master your emotional states, you master your feelings. You master your feelings, you master your actions, decisions, and the outcome of your life. We integrate emotional intelligence seamlessly into all the learning that children do from a very, very young age to something like this, to looking at the same movie with different sound scores and asking children, why do those sound scores shift your interpretation of what you're seeing on the screen? There are many, many ways in which the children, we make social emotional learning a natural part of every session experience. So the next need, the urgent need to change, adapting in the world of exponential technologies. From law to accounting, AI now performs faster, more accurately, and very often more effectively than humans. And tools like ChatGPT, they're just the beginning. We can see the AI race that's happening, right? For teachers who are scared that children will use ChatGPT to do their homework, another AI tool came out for kids to beat teachers knowing whether they've used ChatGPT or not. Then another tool came out to check on that, and another tool has come out to check on that, never ending. So why try to fight and resist a horse that's already on its way? Why don't we embrace it? So through all the curriculum, we build human skills, emotional intelligence, self-mastery, because as I said, the world doesn't need memorization, it needs meaning. And in all, we know that schools have this pressure. We haven't thrown out academic rigor. We embed these higher consciousness skills within a strong foundation of core technical learning, ensuring that schools and children are board ready and future ready. My dream is one day to start our own board with really relevant and relatable assessments that children truly need in the world today, and to do it fast and to do it that's ever changing. So until exam boards evolve, or we create an examination board together that meets the needs of this new world, we'll continue to play both games, master the syllabus, prepare for life. Because we know you want your children to walk into a high impact life. Yeah. At Dreamtime Learning, we prepare children for a world where empathy, creativity, ethical decision-making, emotional intelligence, and self-mastery will matter more than rote recall. And I can't show it to you today, but you can connect with us and we will take you through the sessions that show you human forward traits are not add-ons, that they're essentials, and how they're woven through the core. Let's understand the next urgent need to change. We've entered something we call the creator economy, a world in which the child's greatest asset isn't knowledge, but what they can create with that knowledge. And therefore, in this creator economy, what's everyone trying to do? Everyone's trying to create. Go on Instagram, we've got 100 more influencers. So what do you also have to be able to do? What's the single most needed attitude, aptitude that you will need is focus. knowing where to direct your attention when it's needed, because you have an endless array of Netflix movies calling to you. You've got an endless array of games calling to you. You've got an endless array of scrolling you can do. You will need the understanding of how to master your attention. So today's most valued individuals are not scholars, they're innovators, they're storytellers, they're conscious creators. So creativity, focus, emotional intelligence, adaptability, you will see that we have put in the curriculum in two ways. One is we teach them about focus, how to focus, and then we build the curriculum, lesson, session plans in a way that direct their focus because they're gamified, they're quick. You know, imagine your kids finishing learning in half the school day or less than half the school day. Suddenly you become a force for personalized learning, where kids can spend the second half of the day in pace, voice, choice of their learning. They can be doing hydroponics, they can be doing gardening, cooking, building robots, mastering code. They can be doing anything in the second half of the day that interests them. And that attention, we don't need to train. When kids are involved in something that they're deeply interested in, you don't even need to train their attention. Their focus comes on. So the future belongs to those who create with purpose, which is why every LDS, Learner-Driven Symposium, has a digital portfolio that the children show their teacher and their parent together. And the children take their parents through it. This is what I've learned. This is how I learned it. And Dream Time's an acronym where, you know, we'll give you the details of it, but D stands for design thinking. So under design thinking, children will pick up their best piece of work and their worst piece of work, and they'll take you through their thinking. In terms of art, it'll be reflective learning. They'll take their best piece of work and their worst piece of work. And I was watching a child's learner-driven symposium, and under reflective learning, he had put down learning about evolution. And I said, why have you picked that as your best piece of reflective learning? He said, because till yesterday, I believed only God created the earth. Today, I'm open to other possibilities. And that's not to say he won't end up believing that God created the earth, but he's open to other possibilities. His belief is not now coming from the external world. His bias or anything else is not coming from the external world. He's going to think about deeply himself, who he is, what he believes in, what algorithms he's going to avoid, what biases he's going to avoid, and he knows how the world is constantly trying to program him. You can flip through the next two. They're just showing you our lesson plans in action. Yeah, and this is the next urgent need to change. What if our children's wounds became their wisdom? And in this, I'm going to tell you a little story. I'm going to tell you two little stories. One that shows you how perception is everything. Two salesmen go from America to Africa, and they've got the same job. Look at the shoe opportunity to set up a factory in Africa. One writes back, they're looking at the same thing. One writes back saying, no opportunity, nobody wears shoes. The other one says, fabulous opportunity, nobody wears shoes. They're looking at the same thing. We teach children how having an optimistic mindset, how thinking you're lucky changes what information you let in your brain. Because while we've got hundreds and thousands of pieces of information that's infiltrating our senses, intelligence is knowing what to take in. And when you feel lucky, when you feel optimistic, the right signals come to you. So what we call synchronicity, that's very often about our reticular activation system being turned on because we have told it what to look for. I feel optimistic. I'm going to see lots of opportunities. And then my brain's picking them up through my reticular activation system. It's like a radio antenna. I'm giving a frequency, it's receiving a frequency. The second story to highlight the urgent need is, you know, journalists often follow twins because twins have similar DNA in this whole nature-nurture debate that we have. And the twins are following the journalists are following these twins of an alcoholic father. He's not treated them well. The mother has abandoned him. And here he has these twins in poverty. One twin turns into an alcoholic. One of the two brothers turns into an alcoholic, broken relationship. The other one is highly successful. He's got a great job. He's got a great wife. He's got his kids, and he's flourishing. And the journalists asked them exactly the same question. How did you turn out to be this way? And they answered exactly the same. Look at my father. How could I be any different? Now imagine if our children's wounds could become their wisdom. 1 in 6 people harm others because they've been harmed themselves. Who is the guy who puts his hand up to be a suicide bomber, who goes against every core of human survival? He is someone who's deeply seen pain of something in his environment that has motivated him to harm himself and to harm others. We carry unhealed pain from our childhood, ignored or dismissed or misunderstood, but it's all sitting in our cellular memory. Most of cancer, 85% of it comes from our feelings and our thoughts, not from anything else. So at Dreamtime, we teach children to understand and heal these parts of themselves through growth and strategies so that they turn into adults who lead with empathy and not with pain. Okay, you can go quickly through the next to the video. Just going to show you a really powerful video because it just kind of summarizes what I've been saying, that our lives are driven by our subconscious and unconscious mind, and yet we only educate the conscious mind. And a man who can master his thoughts can end a sorrow as easily as he can invent a pleasure. So we create as many experiences to positively impact the subconscious mind. So imagine the elephant at the circus, whose leg is tied with a piece of rope. Why does he not break the rope? He doesn't break the rope because his unconscious has learned that when he was a baby elephant, he had a metal chain tied around his leg. And every time he tried to break free, it would hurt. And so he learned this helplessness. We call it learned helplessness. So wouldn't it be great if we spent time on teaching children how their brains work, how their brains are wired to focus on fear and threat? Because that's how our ancestors survived, but we no longer need it. And this wiring fuels anxiety and stress, especially in a world that's changing so fast. But the good news is the brain can be rewired through gratitude, mindfulness, reframing negative thoughts. Children learn to shift from fear to love, from fear to resilience. They build the tools to bounce back, not just in class, but in life. So a straight A grade report card might look impressive, but it doesn't guarantee innovation. In fact, it's the very opposite of innovation. If you ask most people who are hiring for innovation, they say we'll take the B grader, because a B grader has learned how to fail. The A grader has not. So if you look at Eric Barker's research, most world changers were not top students. They were the curious ones, the question askers, and the C graders who dared to think differently. High grades reward rule following, not risk taking. But we need a world of creators, not consumers, not conformers. So in a world of creators, mastery starts from within. Success isn't about how much you know, it's about how well you know yourself. From Anthony Robbins to Jack Canfield to every great life coach, they will tell you inner mastery is the starting point to lasting success. Mahatma Gandhi knew it. He said, your beliefs shape your destiny. It started with your thoughts, but those form your beliefs, and your beliefs create your destiny. So let's help kids to create from the inside out, to master the world from the inside out. Yeah. If you learn about your emotions, your needs, your drives, your strengths, your habits, that's more important than learning Pythagoras' theorem. Okay, we're just going to run through the next few slides because I think I've said most of it. I'd like to take a Q&A from the audience. You can just run through the next few slides, please. It's just showing you what we offer, the observation tracker, the activity cards, sheets, handouts, the readers that are all interdisciplinary, the lesson plans. Okay, can you take me to the 4 types of humans that will thrive in the world going forward? There's 4 types of humans that will thrive in the world going forward. The first has very high EQ, because even if you are a doctor whose diagnosis is better done by AI and who a robot can perform the surgery, you'll still need someone who can connect with the patient, and that's someone with high EQ. Yeah, whatever role you're in, if you've got really high EQ, you will thrive in the world. The world will value you. The second type of person is somebody who's built a personal monopoly. That's a subset of interests and skills that don't automatically go together. So why is it that we have the science stream and the art stream? What if we were to mix it up? What if it wasn't pure engineering, but it was engineering with art? It was engineering with design. It was engineering with understanding neuroscience. Imagine the new possibilities of what this human could do and how irreplaceable this human would become. The third type of person is a real specialist, right? You can be the highest specializing person or the highest specializing people in that field. Not everyone from Microsoft will get laid off. Not everyone from TCS will get laid off. If you are highly, highly specialized and you're constantly learning and relearning your craft, you will still be valued. And the fourth type of person is a moonshot thinker. He is someone who's innovative, and he is an entrepreneur. And it's time we freed up the time of our children to become one of the 4, because to become any one of the 4, to be a specialist, to have a personal monopoly, or to be a moonshot thinker, you need time to develop those other skills. Yeah. All right. We're just you can just run through the next. We don't need to see them. We can get to the last couple of slides. Yeah. So this is your window to reinvent, to lead, to build a school that doesn't just survive the next decade, but defines what education looks like. So if you're an educator who believes that the world does not need children who can crack tests, it needs humans who are whole, mindful, healed, curious, and purpose-led, please do connect with us. If you're an educator who believes that we need to teach children how to program their own minds before the outer world, algorithms, and everything else does it for them, please connect with us. We'll teach you how to build a regulated, well-wired, well-regulated human being. If you're an educator who believes that learning should include mindful breathing, reflection, value-based learning, that the world with all its AI and uncertainty needs this desperately, please connect with us. Because what are we building? We're building a future that we can co-create, a future where children grow up to be conscious of their thoughts, decisions, and actions, where they make good choices, where they show others what good choices are, a world in which children realize it's their inner world, their thoughts, their beliefs that will create their outer reality. Okay, I am open for Q&A. Can we put the Q&A on with the online audience first, please? Any questions that our audience has? And if you don't want to say it out loud, you can type it into the chat box and Ankita will read it out for me.
So the first question is, what is your concept? Okay, so this person joined in late. iPhone. So, Lena, if you can just explain in 2, 3 sentences about the school
The
in the
concept
future.
is about making sure that your school is not just future ready, it's ready for the today, the world of AI. And we're very happy for you to drop your number to Ankita, and she will set up a session to take you through the concept in detail. Anyone who would like to understand the concept in detail, please connect with Ankita and she will make time for you.
Hey, hello, ma'am. Good morning. This was me, Mehak, who asked the question related to the concept. Only two words. Say, suppose if I am planning to start my own preschool and I don't want to opt any kind of franchise chain, what all help you are going to provide me? Are you going to prepare me academically for my school and you will be providing training to the teachers, or it is something very different concept from other than a preschool? Can you just put up a light on these two sentences? Thank you.
We will give you everything a franchisor would give you. That is all the learning design, the training, the support in terms even of marketing if you need support. One of the problems I'm solving for is that if you franchise under my brand name, it means you're building wealth and equity value for me. Whereas what I want to do is flip that and collaborate with you to build wealth and equity for both of us.
Okay, fine, ma'am. So what is the difference between a preschool franchise chain and you offering as a franchise? Means I'm getting confused between these two. Yes, the last
So
point was correct. Yeah, please
So
give.
you will decide your own school's name, your own brand, and it will just be powered by Dreamtime Learning. So if you think of us like an Intel chip that can go into a computer, you think about Dell, HP, all these different computer brands. The Intel chip, which is the operating system, goes inside the computer, but the value of the branding, the equity gets built by by Dell and HP, not by Intel. So you're co-creating value with each other. It's not as though I'm asking you to give me the value that you are actually taking the risk and doing the hard work for.
Okay, thank you so much for giving me a proper clarification.
So the next question is, how can we create a curriculum that caters to shaping resilience in our students?
So how can you create a curriculum? You just align with us because we've already created it. Why would you want to recreate it? You know, the cost that you would have to create what we've created, we spent crores creating this. The cost that you would have, why would you want to incur it when we're not taking away anything from you that takes away your own brand equity and your own creativity, your own individualism, so we're personalizing you. All you're doing is taking a software operating system and playing it into your school.
Is this possible in schools where the teacher-student ratio is 40 plus students to one teacher?
It is because firstly, the way that you speak to the children is completely laid out for you. The activities and handouts are all there. And I don't think we've given our curriculum to a school yet. So we're doing the Finland International School. We're doing a lot of schools, including Ruchika School. They don't have 40 kids, but we will work with you to either make sure that we can teach those 40 kids or bring your fees up so you don't need to have 40 kids in the classroom.
How do we create this awareness of mind shift in our schools?
We'll help you do that. We give all the information to parents. There's newsletters, there's messages on the LMS, the forecast that parents get. Everything starts getting parents to understand. And part of the shift that happened for us this year, 38% of IIT students not getting jobs, that was the biggest shift for us. Suddenly parents understood that what they thought was really safe and secure is not safe and secure any longer.
The next question is, can Dreamtime connect with government to shift the whole education landscape state by state at a time?
We would love for that to happen. We've very often tried to work with government. We've met top people in government during the Kangaroo Kids and Billabong High days. That's what we're here to do. This is my this startup is a startup of my heart. It's actually about making sure that India is seen as a superpower, because a lot of our Indian spiritual wisdom is what we've embedded in the curriculum. We want India to thrive. We want India to be seen for the beautiful country it is. It's one of the few countries that has never gone to try and colonize, that has understood that happiness comes from within, which is why when you go on the streets and you even see kids in poverty, they're smiling, they're finding joy. There's something that they're learning there and then that keeps them rooted where they are. So yeah, we would love to work with government. If anyone's got a way, means for us to do that, we'd love to do that. Otherwise, you know what? I just keep driving change, because I show the new benchmark, and then hopefully, you know, as Kangaroo Kids and Billabong High, we were the first of its kind. Today, almost every school is emulating that model, and we're here to create a movement again.
If we plan to start a new early years school, how do we go about it?
That's a very long question. Any one-on-one questions, please give your number to Ankita, and she will make sure that we connect with you, and we'll go through how. We go through the similar things. We'll do a survey. We'll figure out where you should put the school, etc., etc.
So what I'll do is I'll drop in my number in this chat box. So these questions you can message me, and I'll connect with you.
Yeah, so Ankita, if you can only give me questions that are more generic to the whole audience.
So there's an inclusive school, Lena. They are asking, that's Sonal Miss, how to cater the needs of neurodiversity children with the same curriculum. So there are almost 3 to 4 neurodiversity children and 20 kids. So that's the ratio, 2:20. Neurodiversity kids, Lena.
What is the ratio?
2:20. So
and the class of 20?
Yes, in a class of 20.
So we have micro schools, one in Hyderabad and one in Pune. We will connect you with our principals there, and they'll take you through the process that they follow. But the ideal, if neurodiversity is more than a learning difficulty or a physical challenge, then the ideal ratio is 1:10.
And the last question. Sorry, Lena, you're saying something.
Yeah, what is the last question?
The last question is, it's a CBSE K-12 school, and you know they want to know how they'll be able to overcome the challenge of adopting a completely new system, and how deeply will they be hand-holded during this.
So we've got curriculum CBSE and IGCSE. So we will give you the CBSE curriculum. It's completely aligned. It's just embedded with everything I've just spoken about today. And we will hold your hands through the entire process.
So these were the questions, Lena. I'm dropping my number in the chat box. So anybody who, you all can connect with me, and I'll answer.
Thank you to everyone who came online this morning, Saturday. We really, really appreciate you being here. We'd love to partner with you. We'd love to create this movement together. I've always believed in win-win. So please do connect with Ankita. And I, as a founder, am always accessible, available, and approachable for anyone who partners with us. Please keep that in mind as well. With that, I'm going to switch off the online mode and go to our offline mode, so I can take some Q&A from our offline beautiful educators who are here in the auditorium. Thank you so much for everyone who came online. See you soon. And if you would like a workshop in your school, in your city, please also write to Ankita. I do a co-launched workshop, which we're going to continue today with Willie Broad George. So it's the future of where the world is going. And then Willie will teach you some really, really quaint, quirky AI tools that you can use in your schools to bring more cost efficiency and cost effectiveness and a new sense of wow Willie Broad George is not only a parent of our school, both his children go to Dreamtime Online Learning School, but he's also a partner with us. His school is powered by Dreamtime Learning. So we both of us would be happy to come to your city or your school to do a workshop for you. Thank you all very much. See you soon.